Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome if you're new. So today we're going to talk about my best settings for season 5. I get asked these questions quite frequently every season. Turbo, what are your settings? So today we're going to go over all of that stuff. So if you guys do enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it if we could hit a like goal of 500 likes for season 5. That would be absolutely amazing. And make sure to subscribe if you're brand new and to make your way back to the channel. 𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗧 today, and let's get on with the video. All right, so we're going to just get straight into it. So just to be clear, I am on PC and I'm playing with a controller. All right, so these settings are going to be applicable to whether you're on PC and if you're on console. So of course you could always like skip through the timestamps to just, you know, move on to the stuff that's important to you. But I'm going to mainly talk about the things that are important that do make a big difference as far as your gameplay experience goes. So oh my god. So let's go ahead and talk about these graphics here. All right, so for graphics, it really all depends on your rig or, you know, whatever setup you've got for your PC, because obviously what I'm running might be totally different from yours, and you might be able to run certain settings that I can't, etc, etc. For me personally, I find that gameplay VSync when it's disabled is definitely a must. You know, if you have it enabled, you're gonna have a lot of screen tearing and you're just gonna find yourself not having a good gameplay experience. So always have this disabled. Now menu VSync, I also have this disabled. And video reflex low latency, I have this on enabled and boosted. I personally do find a very big difference when I have this boosted versus normal or disabled. You know, it could be a placebo effect or something like that. You know, I'm not really a PC expert or anything, but it's just through trial and error. So, you know, I'm kind of just sharing with you guys what I personally use. Render resolution, this is super important. You need to have it at 100 because obviously if you have it at 99 or 80 or something like that, your quality is going to be very blurred, as you can see here in the example below my face cam. So make sure it's always at 100, and the display resolution is going to be native to what your monitor can be capable of. So mine is capable of 1920 by 1080p, and the aspect ratio, I don't really think this matters, but I like to run 16:9. You could just put automatic if you want to, but 16:9 for me works out perfectly fine. I have no issues there whatsoever. Colorblind modes, I don't touch this. I believe this is just a personal preference. Unless you are actually colorblind, you do want to go ahead and tamper with these little settings here. Field of view, this is also subjective to you as a player. Now what I will suggest here is if you're trying to get a little bit more field of view, obviously this is going to give you an advantage in certain situations. You are going to see a little bit more than the average person who's running maybe console FOV at 80 or something like that. But my personal recommendation, if you're transitioning from 80 FOV on console and you do have the opportunity to increase your field of view, don't go to like 120 right away. Slowly work your way up, get used to it, because your eyes need an adjustment period. You know, your eyes have been looking at it at 80 FOV for quite some time. So just slowly move up. And me personally, I found the sweet spot to be between 105 and 110 FOV. So that's what works out great for me. Now ADS field of view and vehicle aiming field of view, I have these both on affected. Now the more important thing here is the ADS field of view. If you have it on affected, that means that when you're aiming down sights, you're not going to be zoomed in too dramatically from whatever FOV that you have. Let's say that you're on 120 FOV, right? And let's say you have it on independent. When you have it on 120 and you're on independent, when you ADS, it's going to zoom in dramatically to what the value is coming from that FOV, if that makes sense. So when you have it on affected, you don't zoom in as much. So when you're ADSing, obviously you want to maintain that FOV that you're at so that you can still see what's going on in your immediate area. Whereas if you had it on independent, you might be zoomed in too much to the point where you can't even see what's going on around you. You know, you want to be able to have a very alert game sense, you know, is what they say. So that's why I like affected better. And it also does kind of help mentally with your recoil control because it doesn't really seem like there's too much bounce because you're not actually zoomed in a lot when you're, you know, ADSing. So if you take a look at this example, this picture right here, left is obviously independent, right is affected. So there's pretty much a good example right there. Now let's go ahead and move on to the frame rate. So again, you kind of want to set a limit for your frame rate depending on what kind of monitor you're running. So I know that mine is capable of 144 or, you know, around that type of FPS. So I put it to 145 because it wouldn't allow me to go to 140. Menu custom frame rate, this really doesn't matter. Just have it at 60. You know, why make your PC work hard when you're just chilling in the menus? All right, so for texture and model quality, I have these both at medium. There's really no reason to, you know, up this all the way up to ultra or high because my PC, I do not want my VRAM usage to go all the way at max. You know, you want to go for performance, obviously, because while it is nice to look at really nice graphics while you're playing, if your PC is not capable of it, you're gonna have some really bad experiences. You're gonna experience a lot of hitching and lag. So always do what's best for your PC and try to keep that VRAM usage as low as possible while still giving you a very good gaming experience. Now I have my HD game texture and models installed here, and my 4K textures is disabled. Like I said, it's really not necessary. You're just going to be giving yourself a harder time as far as VRAM goes. Special effects quality, this does not affect your VRAM, so I put it on high. Screen space reflection is on low. Object view distance is on high. Water tessellation is enabled. Shadow and lighting, I do have this on medium. Shadow quality is medium. You guys can go ahead and pause this if you want to. You know, these aren't really things that I do need to talk about in detail, but if you want to go ahead and just copy what I'm running, go for it. But like I said, be warned, my PC settings might be different than yours. I'm running a RTX 2070, I believe, so not really that great. It's kind of like in the middle type of stuff. It's barely enough to get by. Ray tracing, I definitely have all these disabled. It's not really necessary at all. What the? DLS is going to be balanced, and ambient occlusion quality medium disabled. For motion blur, definitely have this disabled. This is definitely something that a lot of newcomers to Call of Duty have enabled because they think, oh yeah, it's realistic and stuff like that. I get it, but have this disabled, because if you're moving rapidly and it's blurred the environment around you, you might miss out on some opponents who are literally standing right in front of you. So have that disabled. All right, so that's pretty much it as far as the graphics go. Let's move on to audio. So audio settings, not really too important. This is all personal preference, but I do have the music volume off for several reasons. Number one, obviously, I just don't want to get demonetized if for whatever reason Activision wants to like strike my channel or something like that, which is super low percentage of that. But the most important reason is because when I'm playing in game, I do not care to hear like the theme music or anything like that, because it kind of interferes with my sound whoring. You know, I want to focus on the game and immerse myself as much as possible, you know, listen to audio cues, etc. So I have the music volume off. I don't really care for it too much. Sound effects is 100, dialogue 100, cinematics 100. Now audio presets, this is all personal preference because we all hear frequency at different rates. So for me personally, high boost, I feel like I can hear footsteps rather clearly, but you know, for you it might be something else. So always trial and error here. So high boost has always worked for me. Hit marker sound effect, you know, this is all personal preference here at this point. Yeah, everything else here is just personal preference. All right, interface. Some of this stuff is super important and I will tell you why. So let's go down to ally health bars as well as enemy health bars. I have this on. I have this shown because let's say, for example, you're in a gunfight, 1v1 situation with an enemy and you hurt him a little bit. You want to know how much health he has left, because if he's literally one shot, then you know that's enough confidence to make you want to push the guy and kill him, because you know he's weak, he's vulnerable. And your ally, if you see your ally is in a gunfight as well and he's hurt, maybe that's a time for you to step in and help him out. So these are really good little tips for why you should have these interfaces on shown. Now everything else, you can just go ahead and pause the video if you want to go ahead and copy it. Telemetry, this is definitely optional if you want to. I like to know how many frames per second I'm getting here. All right, everything else is just personal preference. All right, moving on to controller, probably the most important tab here. Now, first thing I will say about stick sensitivity, I have it at 6 and a 6. You know, it's actually fluctuated over time, and I felt that if I wanted better recoil control, especially at longer ranges, you have to reduce your stick sensitivity. Matter of fact, a lot of pros, they do run some very low sensitivity, believe it or not, and it really helps them beam people from longer ranges. You know, you have to be as accurate as possible if you're a professional player. Now, of course, this translates to casual players as well, because it's mechanics. You know, numbers, they don't lie, and the lower your sensitivity is, the better your recoil control is going to be, because, you know, even if you have a heavy thumb or something like that on your thumbsticks and you have a very low sensitivity, that movement on your thumbstick is not going to affect your micro adjustments when you're aiming on your opponents, because of your sensitivity, it's super low. So that's something to consider. You know, if you have been having a hard time controlling your recoil, 6 out of 6 is definitely a sweet spot for me. This is all personal preference. Of course, you should test this out in private matches just to confirm. And ADS stick sensitivity, this fluctuates as well. This is something that you need to play around with. It all really kind of depends. And ADS stick sensitivity on high zoom, I just keep it at 1. I don't really touch snipers, so it doesn't really affect me at all. But maybe you might want to change this up as well if you're a sniper. Button layout is tactical. So this is a layout that I've been playing Call of Duty on for literally since I started playing Call of Duty back in Modern Warfare 2. So that was, I believe, 2009 or something like that. Yeah, I know. It's I think I just aged myself there, but
okay, boomer.
Anyways, tactical, I love tactical because you can switch your buttons around. So your crouch and prone is going to be your right thumbstick, and your melee and attack button is going to be your circle button. So this is nice because it allows you to keep your hands on the controller at all times. You don't need to lift your fingers or anything like that to go prone or anything, because your thumbs are already on the controller. So this gives you a slight advantage over players who are just playing normally. Now, I have this on flipped as well. This is super important because this helps out because the haptic feedback is a lot more instant when you're just using buttons versus triggers, because the distance it takes for the button to actually touch the controller or whatever, you know, I'm not a tech guy or anything like that, versus a trigger, it has more of a travel downwards, you know, so that's going to take a little bit longer. It's more instant when you basically have buttons to push versus triggers. And also this is helpful at longer ranges. You know, when you're trying to burst fire from longer ranges, you're literally just tapping the button, and it's just easier to control at longer ranges. So definitely try flipped if you haven't tried it yet. From what people tell me, they say it's a game changer for them. Let's see, aim response curve type is standard. Trigger haptics, I have this disabled because, you know, I don't really care for that stuff. Target aim assist is going to be enabled, obviously. Target aim assist mode is standard. ADS aim assist is going to be enabled. Airborne mantle behavior automatic. Aim down sight behavior hold. Okay, you can pause if you want to. Let's see here. Okay, this is semi-important here. Now, this input threshold area right here, they do not copy this, because this is all subjective to how old or new your controller is. Now, depending on the age of your controller, let's say your controller has a lot of stick drift, you know, you're standing just perfectly still, you're not even touching your controller, and you notice that your character in game is just, you know, slowly drifting to the right or to the left, or he's moving forward. So what you want to do here is you want to increase your left stick minimum input threshold just according to how bad your stick drift is. You know, just make minor adjustments and then check back in game, see if your character still moves. If he stops, then that's when you know to stop the value. So for me in this case, it's 31, and then my right stick minimum input threshold is only at a 10 because I don't really get too much stick drift on my right stick. So this is just everything. You have to test it out. You know, go into your settings and then refer to what's going on in game. Don't touch your controller at all and see if there's any movement. If there's no movement, then keep your settings the way they are. Now, I have auto sprint enabled because this saves my controller's life, especially when we're constantly pushing down on the left thumbstick. This is going to wear out your left thumbstick and you're not going to be able to sprint at all. So this is all just for preservation purposes, and also it, you know, it helps your thumbs last a little bit longer, meaning you're gonna have longer gaming sessions because your thumb's not gonna be sore with that really crazy thumbprint on your thumb. So, you know, we've all gamed for hours and then your thumb just starts hurting after a while, but when you had auto sprint on, it definitely does save you from those problems. Now, I guess that's about it, man. So hopefully you guys did find this video helpful. Hopefully these little tips did help you out. If it did, leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe if you're brand new around here. Check out all my other class setup videos or just other videos just in general. Maybe I might have something that you're looking for. So make sure to subscribe if you're brand new around here. 𝗧𝗘𝗦𝗢 today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get it, baby. Yo, if you guys are always on your computer all day or you like to game for long sessions, definitely check out GamerAdvantage.com for these blue light blocking glasses. Quite literally the best blue light glasses that you can ever find on the market. Make sure to check out GamerAdvantage.com and just learn more about it, man. There's so many benefits to keeping your eyes nice and healthy. You won't feel that strain at the end of the day, and you'll go to sleep like a baby at the end of the day, and that's the best part. You won't feel tired at all. Definitely check out GamerAdvantage.com. Use code TURBO at checkout.